All of the food we eat and much of the clothing we wear comes from plants and animals that are raised on farms. Farms are different in type, in size, and even in name.
Welcome to Barn Talk. What happens at the barn stays in the barn, but not today. We're going to let it all out for you guys. Today is going to be a hell of a good guest episode. Got a great guest coming to the barn today, but before we get into it, you guys know the drill. If you get any value from the show, please share it out with the people that you guys know. The more that you do that, the more that this show grows. It's kind of the ticket to admission to watch or listen to the show. We found the best way to grow this podcast is word of mouth, and we appreciate all of you that do that. So any value, please share it. Another thing you can do to help us out here at Barn Talk is leave a review on Spotify or Apple. The more that you guys do that, the more credibility it gives our show, so we can have more great guests come to the barn like we're having today more consistently. We really appreciate seeing all your guys' feedback on the reviews. It helps us improve the show. It puts a bigger chip on Tork's shoulder. It builds him up a little bit because he needs that. So give him some compliments, give the show some love, and we love seeing what you guys say. So thank you to all that do that. The last thing you can do to support us here at Barn Talk is you can support our direct-to-consumer meat business, Farmer Grade, farmergrade.com. Right now, we have an early access deal happening for the Black Friday sale where you can get free beef sticks for life of your subscription plus free ground beef for the life of your subscription. 50% off the first box, 15% off the rest of the boxes of your subscription, free shipping. We think it's the best deal online when it comes to meat, but we might be a little biased. But Black Friday is fast approaching, so be looking out for that because it's going to be a massive store-wide sale. And if you have any gifting needs whatsoever, you want to give the gift of meat this year, this holiday season, us at Farmer Grade would love to help you out in any way we can. So that's what we got cooking. How are you?
I've been taking my vitamins just so that my outlook to live as long as possible to get as many free packs of beef sticks over the life of my subscription, trying to max that out.
Hell yeah, I like it.
Yep.
You did subscribe and save. I saw that come through the other day.
I know.
I did. This show must be doing something if you're able to have that much disposable.
Yeah, well, I'm just reinvesting in the company.
I love it. I appreciate it. You got your flannel out.
Yep.
It's officially flannel season. I got my vest, so it's vest season too.
Yep. The flies are almost all dead in the barn. There's just a few stragglers, so one more sweep up, and then it ought to look pretty good for a while anyway. I think the biggest problem we're going to have today is how the hell we're going to get this all in. So the guy we got coming to the barn today, he's something else. He has he's kind of a brand builder. He's a brand creator. He's created his own brand. He's a television personality. He's been on shows like Moonshiners on the Discovery Channel and a few other ones. He's a restaurateur. I got my big words out. He's got a little place called Boondogs, and we're going to talk about that. My head's kind of like spinning as I was putting together this outline. Just all he's got going. It's a little like somebody else I know. So the conversation ought to be excellent because I don't know how he keeps it all straight, but the one thing that I haven't said much about is he does have an affinity for bourbon. And so we're probably going to learn a few things about bourbon. So we might be able to up our game on the next Whiskey Minute.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this episode. I mean, you talk about a guy, entrepreneurial, he's a hustler. He's got a lot of things going, builds brands, knows how to build them. I mean, we're all looking to, all of us as farmers, all of us as business owners, brand owners, regardless of what you're doing, if you're trying to work for yourself, I think you're going to be able to get some stuff out of this one.
Without any further ado, let's get into it.
Well, we're live, boys.
Oh.
So Tim Jones, welcome to Barn Talk.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We appreciate you making the trip. This is one that we've been wanting to have for a long time. You got a lot of stuff going on. But before we get into all the nitty gritty, how do people find out what you're up to? How do they reach out or follow or support what you're doing?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram. It's pretty easy, or Facebook. Tim Jones KY, Tim Jones Creative. Those kind of places you can find me. I'm easy. Tim Jones in Lexington, Kentucky, and you'll find me. So
Okay.
LinkedIn, wherever. Just look me up.
Yeah, you look very distinguished on LinkedIn, I might add.
Yeah, well, with the haircut and everything.
Yep.
Yeah, I lost. I cut my hair one time, and I had a boss once. This was 15 years ago. I've cut my hair like twice in 15 years. And he was like, he looked at me down the hallway, and he was just like, "Are you Tim's less interesting brother?" And I was like, never again, But it was time, yeah. So.
Well, yeah, you always said when you got older that you would want to grow. You want to grow the flow out.
Well,
and you want to be a silver wolf.
Yes,
Silver
right?
Wolf's good.
I am waiting a little bit because the top hasn't caught up with the bottom. And if this goes completely white and I can get the top to go completely white, then I'm going to be like the best defensive coordinator that the Cowboys ever had.
Rob Ryan.
Yeah, I'm going to be the next Rob Ryan.
Rob Ryan.
I'm going to grow into it. I'm going to grow that shit out. It's going to be something. And
It'll be polarizing.
It will be. It will be.
Yeah.
Now, I'm afraid that if I do that,
It makes some damn good thumbnails.
it will be some good thumbnails. I'm not sure if Trisha, my wife is a recovering cosmetologist, so there's a 50-50 that she wouldn't just cut my hair in my sleep, but I'm going to try. I'm going to try.
Okay. Well, I guess, Tim, to get things started, give us the story of how, because you got a lot of stuff going on, but you also had a lot of stuff that you were doing before what you're doing today. And it's all interesting. It's all awesome. But we just want to kind of get people to understand how it all came to be. So I know that's a broad one, but it's a good place to start usually.
Sure. Yeah, I think a lot of it's came full circle without even trying. I grew up in a small town in Kentucky called Olive Hill. It's just a really small town. My grandfather actually had a really successful and a beautiful cattle farm there. So actually, he was in the cattle business. My dad ran his factory, so he had a factory as well. And it was greeting cards was the factory. And so they did all hand finishing work for like American Greetings.
Okay.
And so there's a lot of design work laying around. And so I worked in there, and my dad's brother helped run that farm. And that was kind of the beginning of my work. And it's in this small town. The other thing in that small town, it was a dry county. So it was a lot of bootleggers and moonshiners. And that was interesting, but it was kind of all we knew. We'd go to the bootlegger, and I got plenty of stories about those nights, like a bootlegger asking us, how old we are. And we're like, how old you got to be to buy from a bootlegger, And so, friends' parents were moonshiners and things like that. So it was always in the background of where we lived. And then I went on, I went to college, bounced around a little bit, went down to Nashville, got my first job I was in the graphic design world, but I worked for a boat company. I love to fish and I like the water. Worked for Triton Boats down there. And then we just were drawn back to Kentucky. So we left Nashville pretty quick and went and moved back to Kentucky, back home next to family. And my first client, after I bounced around in some design shops as an art director and doing some photography work and stuff like that, commercial photography, was Buffalo Trace. And so when I there was an agency that was one of their clients, and they put me on it right away. I think it was because like all the advertising award shows, I always had like moonshine with me, and they knew I drank whiskey and I loved whiskey. And so it was just a really good fit. I think I spoke their language, and that's the full circle, of just being in a small town, enjoying whiskey, and then working on some of these bourbon brands. And it was before the huge boom. I mean, this was they were hiring people like us because they were ramping up and there was a lot of interest and they needed to get some of their stuff together. Not just Buffalo Trace, but the whole industry was like starting on this new wave. And so they just needed some creative firepower to help tell their stories, work on brand positioning. How do they separate themselves in the market? And they had a extremely talented in-house team too. I mean, marketers and brand people. But they needed some creatives. So I think that's how it started.
Yep.
I don't know, but being around greeting cards as a kid,
Yep.
the background ideas of whiskey and moonshine and bootlegging and stuff like that, and then just kind of found a really good fit back home in Kentucky when I came back of like, let's get creative with bourbon.
Yeah.
And so that it's, I skipped a lot of parts, but that may be some of the circle there. I don't know.
Yeah. But so a lot of people,
Yeah.
you had a pretty good gig, working through that agency and working with Buffalo Trace. So a lot of people would be like, yep, this is it. This is my career. This is what I'm going to do. But you didn't do that. So you're in the midst of that. And then because now you have your own shop basically, but you're doing a few other things too. So what drove you? Like, what was the driver to be like, what else is out there? Or what was that?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I've thought about it before. People have asked me that. And I think really what it is when you're in the creative field, whether it's full marketing or creative, which is all kind of in the same world, I was working with some really great founders and people starting companies. And they have this vision of what they want, and they can't quite bring it to life visually or tell the story. They have this huge story and they don't know what to whittle off. It's hard to narrow it in. And so I just really loved working with founders and different people starting companies. And I had the creative chops to like figure out, how are we going to breathe life into these brands and start these things? And so I always wanted to have my own businesses. And my dad, worked for himself, my grandfather. And I always had that entrepreneurial drive and pretty much kind of unemployable at times. I'm kind of like,
Yep.
Yeah, I get it.
Yep.
So just had a lot of my own ideas and how I wanted to do things, but love working with great teams, super talented people, super smart people. And I think it was just natural that I wanted to go out and do it myself. And I think it was always the end goal. I think everybody I ever worked with knew like, you'll eventually do this on your own.
This guy's going to wander off.
Yeah. It's like, yeah. Where is he? Looking in my
Where's
office
Tim?
and like, who knows, but they were all great. Everybody I worked with, super talented. And think back on those days a lot. And there's a lot of stuff I miss too, just the daily interaction with teams, writers, illustrators, account folks and marketing people. So there's a little bit of loneliness when you go out and do it because now it's all on your shoulders, but, I wouldn't trade it, man. There's not a day goes by I have any regret, none.
What are the brands that you did work with at that time when you were at the agency? What brands did you work with?
Yeah, so we were fortunate enough to have the entire Sazerac bourbon portfolio. And you got to remember back then, and I left, I think I've been on my own for 4 years.
Okay.
And just those last few years that I was working with them, they started adding people to their marketing team.
Yeah.
They literally had one brand manager for the entire bourbon portfolio. And I think that's why I was integrated so much, because there wasn't a huge team on all those brands. So when you think about Sazerac, it's the Buffalo Trace brands. And just to be clear, I don't work on them anymore.
Yeah.
We got to say that up front. There was a hard stop.
Yeah.
So, but it's Buffalo Trace, E.H. Taylor, 1792, which was down at Barton, Weller. Like we were in the room when we're doing the expansion of the brands, of Weller. Is there going to be a cognac finished? Is there going to be a foolproof? Is there going to be all these things? And so it was just really awesome to be in those rooms when all those decisions were happening.
Yeah.
So all of them, Blanton's, and Blanton's is an odd one. It's kind of half owned by somebody else, and then they have bottling rights and production rights. But we helped spin up things like Thomas More, Old Carter. Old Carter I work on now, but it was Old Charter, and I always knew there was going to be a issue with that.
Yeah.
All the bourbon portfolio.
Yeah.
And so what was awesome about it is at the time, the real help that we were all working on was what differentiates like a 1792 and an Eagle Rare.
Yeah.
I mean, where does Weller fall and Blanton's? Like what separates all these? There's a lot of brands, because a lot of those big companies, it's not just all Buffalo Trace. Like it might all be Maker's Mark.
Right.
But they break it all up into brands. So what's the difference and where do they sit on the shelf and why? Was a lot of the behind the scenes. And again, I feel super fortunate to be in those rooms early enough to like see those start to, there's a lot of magic that happened at that time when it came to like brands blowing up and consumers hijacking those brands. But there was a lot of behind the scenes work too that is really impressive. I mean, and it's not what you think. It wasn't pulling supply to create it. It was really, they would have sold as much as they could, but they just didn't have it.
Yeah.
It was just how they grow within different markets, and the strategy behind that was really smart.
Well, being on that side of it, where you're creating a message, you're creating an image, you're spinning a story, man, is there anything better than bourbon? Because you have all of those elements that people like. I mean, you talked about Blanton's. I mean, it's like, here, you need not only should you buy this bottle, you need to own every bottle because you want to have all the horses, because we're going to put these horses on there. There's the story, there's the bottle, there's the
collectors.
And then there's the bourbon. I mean, there's the bourbon, how it's finished, how old it is. And then you take all of that and, we talk sometimes about the craziness that was COVID. But if you want to pick like a winner of COVID, bourbon was a winner of COVID because people had time to spend time going down these rabbit holes of deciding, what do I really like? And then once you decide you really like it, well, I want this bottle too. And what's the story on this? And oh, that's neat. I mean, that was kind of for your industry, it was kind of like right place, right time, though wrong time, but I mean, man, it just hit.
I just think it'd be a fun product to work on. I mean, because all those reasons.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much stuff you can play off of when it comes to making a brand.
It's true, and marketing and creative have been a huge part of American whiskey and all spirits. Really, when you look at even things like Grey Goose, or Tito's. I mean, in other worlds, they're just creating these brands, and there's a ton of marketing spend behind them. But you're right. I mean, bourbon, there's a folklore to it. There's some historical value. There's an American story about it. There's a connection to farmers. There's a lot to work with. And you can see that now when you walk through the liquor store.
Yep.
There's a lot of half thought through stories on the shelf and some that are leaning maybe a little too hard on the stories. But they all have a place, and I think, yeah, you're right. It's a great industry to work in if you want to get creative.
Yeah.
There's a lot of passionate people in the industry. I mean, it's incredible. It's a small industry. Now it's growing nationwide so much that, we were so centric to Kentucky and Indiana and Tennessee. We always would say like the best whiskey in the world comes from Kentucky, Tennessee, Scotland, and Ireland.
Yeah.
Japan falls in there. But now there's a lot of great whiskeys all through North America and in America.
What I was just curious, like what things, so you were brand director, right? Were you head of brand then? Like what are the things that the decisions you had to make or the tasks that you had to do? Because like just me here sitting here thinking like a lot of the things that we see on these brands, I mean, you're not there now, but like you had a hand in what it looks like, right? I mean, what is that?
Other brands I still do.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still brands that I have a heavy hand in now that's on my own.
Yeah.
So my title was executive creative director, and it can be pretty broad. In some places it's pretty narrow, but at the time, at that place, only one brand manager over all of them. I'm basically connected. I'm sitting in the room a couple times a week. I'm crawling around the rick houses. I'm tasting barrels with them, and just in the room, like soaking up all the senior talent that's been there forever, the new blood that's coming in from big corporations. So the tasks really at hand is in-house there. They're doing projections. They're trying to figure out how many barrels are we going to pull for this brand the next 20 years, 30 years. I mean, it's like when I was there, we were talking about 2042.
Holy shit.
I mean, it's just a long game.
Yeah.
And you're seeing a little bit of that. Some people rolled the dice in 2010 and it's not working out for them. And some people rolled the dice in 2020. It's not working out for them. But then there's some people that it really is, because now they've got inventory, they're set, they've hit an international market, and they need whiskey. Some people didn't work out as good, but they'll come to me and just basically, we'll be in the room, we figure out, okay, this is the story of this brand. This is the price point. This is what we're going to lean into. How do we bring that to market? What's it look like? Does this brand belong with the PGA, or does this brand belong at music festivals? And you start to slice and divide, and then you get in the weeds and start getting tactical. Like, okay, well, we need all this material for this specific event, or we need to media buys around this. We need to partner with golfers or whatever. So that's the creative direction starts in that world. Mm-hmm. But I was so fortunate that I was kind of a hybrid, because I was there so much because the team was so small.
Yeah.
And I think that was the unique experience of the timing of it.
Yep. And
then they started adding more brand managers and things like that, and got different perspectives. Instead of one person over all of them, they'd had 3 people over all of it, and they'd split them up. This group had Pappy and it was probably the antique collection and Blanton's. It was probably the ones that one person had. Then the other person had Weller, Eagle Rare, and some of those. But it was great. I mean, we decided, and the creative director even decides, like, okay, what color should the Weller foolproof, what should this be? Yep. And should we lean into colors, or do we, so there's just a lot of little, it's fun, it's cool. And every little bit of it's a different challenge, and again, it was mostly timing, I think. And just, I love to drink whiskey, and I was just all in, man, and still am. I mean, I still am with my clients now. I have a few out in Wyoming and in Kentucky, and I had a rum I worked with forever in Baton Rouge and one in Charleston. And so I was sort of picking places I wanted to be and visit, and still get to work on some really cool ones.
Well, I think we all poured an old fashioned. Tim mixed us up with old fashioned before we got started. And I'm running out. You're running out. You got some stuff sitting over there.
Yep.
Should we do a whiskey minute?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Pour
at the
us up
beginning.
something.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's a good idea.
What do you got over there, Tim?
So this is a partnership that I've had for years now. We do we partner with Heaven Hill on the Elijah Craig brand, which to me, there's absolutely zero reason not to have Elijah Craig on the bar. I mean, this is quintessential whiskey. It is Kentucky bourbon. It is exactly what it should taste like. If you're going to a different planet and you want to show somebody what bourbon tastes like, bring Elijah Craig.
We'll have to run that up to Elon. So the ship going to Mars has
make
Elijah
some
Craig.
friends. Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah. I hedged actually, that's not true. I didn't even have to hedge my bet, Tim, because I had 3 bottles on the shelf. I didn't go get those special for you. I made the cut because I have them on the bar at all times.
That's good because they have, small batch and they have the barrel proof. I mean, I love the barrel proof. Single barrel is always great too. It never, you just never know what you're going to get. But anyway, we partner with Heaven Hill to make the Elijah Craig Old Fashioned mix, and it's nationwide. Usually hits right now around holidays. Anywhere you can find Elijah Craig, these gift boxes show up. And it comes with the cocktail mix we make, a jigger, and a full bottle of Elijah Craig small batch. And it's basically the same price as what you'll usually pay for a bottle.
Yeah.
Great deals. We make it fresh right there in Kentucky. And I always say, if you put anything in my bourbon, make sure it's great. And so our old fashioned mix hits that standard.
Well, we just had it, and I'm just going to be honest. It was
great.
Fucking fire.
It was
really
stellar.
good. It was really good.
So to what we were talking about, that bottle of old fashioned mix is proportioned to that bottle.
So the 8 ounce, this is sort of your sample kit.
Yep.
But if you buy the 8 ounce bottle of the mix, a easy way to batch it for friends or 2 of you is just 1 bottle. Drink responsibly. 1 bottle of old fashioned mix, the 8 ounce, and 1 bottle of bourbon.
Yep.
And you can leave it, just mix it really nice. Sometimes I'll add a little bit more bourbon.
Yep.
And I think the beauty of it is if it's too sweet, add a little bourbon. If it's not sweet enough, add some more cocktail mix. But it makes a great batched old fashioned. And then you can just pour it over ice, drop a cherry in it if you want to.
Yeah. And we sampled it, and I would say it's perfect. Not too sweet.
I mean, honestly.
Yeah. And I love the idea of being able to make a batch, because if you're the guy, like if you have a group of people that enjoys a mixed drink and you're not the guy that enjoys just standing constantly behind the bar, batching cocktails is the best because
it's a life hack.
It gets you out. Yeah. I mean, it gets you out from behind the bar. Like if you're playing cards, I mean, it's a pain to go back and mix where you can just have it batch. So I love that. I haven't seen that. Iowa is one of the worst. It's one of the worst states there is to get like anything on any consistency. I haven't seen that yet, but hopefully we'll get it.
Not everything. Meat. We got
no
meat.
meat. I'm saying bourbon. Iowa's just not their system of allocated whiskey, but just whiskey in general is not great.
Yeah,
I mean, that's why you come to the Bourbon Trail.
That's right. Yeah. That's absolutely right.
Yeah, huge economic piece for us is that Bourbon Trail, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah. Do you guys want to taste some whiskey?
Yeah, we do.
You already had the old fashioned.
Yep. We approve.
There's 2 different ones I would like to talk about. One you can't get anywhere else though, except the hotel project I'm working on. It's called the Oldenburg Hotel. We have a small distillery and a steakhouse. So we'll sip that one later because you have to come to the hotel to get it. It's not fair to taste it on here. Nobody can get it. So the one that you can get is actually over there on the bar.
I'll grab it.
You want to grab it? So I work with a company called Brush Creek. It's one of my clients. And literally I left my job. I called the marketing, I guess the distillery manager, the brand manager, he's over the whole distillery. And I said, I left. And he put me on a airplane that like 2 days later and brought me out to Wyoming. And I've been working with him ever since. And I think he kind of took a chance on me, and it's a very small project out there, but it's on a 30,000 acre Wagyu cattle ranch.
Okay.
Sweet.
And it's amazing. So they have meat and beef that you can order online. We may cut that out, Sawyer. But their whiskey program out there is really cool. It's Wyoming whiskey. So, I mean, the elements are so different out there. And they've partnered with Honig, which is a wine maker out west.
Yep.
And they finished this whiskey in Cabernet casks. So this is Brush Creek Honig. You can go to their website and buy it online, and they ship to most states now. So that's one reason I wanted you to try this one, just because most of your listeners should be able to go and get it online. But again, it's going to be different than a Kentucky whiskey. They source some of their younger whiskeys, and then they put it out in Wyoming and let the elements do their thing out there too. And then these have been resting in Cabernet casks.
I like it.
Smells good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so we're going from an old fashioned to, it's pretty high proof. It's a little less than 100 proof, but this is what I would say too. If it's the first drink of the day,
Yep.
it's going to be hard to even judge it.
Yep.
I mean, even for me, when I always have to take the littlest sips just to get acclimated before you dive right in, because even for me, it's like, general term would be, that's pretty hot. It's like, that's got a lot of punch to it. But if you sipped it slower to get going, then you can really start picking apart flavors. Yeah. But if it's the first one, you slam a little bit of it like I just did.
Maybe that's our problem.
It is.
When we do our ratings.
Well, so we're such poor judges that I don't know how many of these we did. And somebody was like, you should probably take a drink, not judge it, and then take a second drink.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We're like, oh, yeah, that makes sense.
We should probably take a sip before we start the podcast. And then at
it
the
is
end.
truly a thing.
Yeah.
It is. Like if I judge something.
Well, maybe we should not judge it till the end then.
Yeah, I would take little sips and just acclimate yourself. There's some people out there they're ready to go, whether they just drink all the time or what, but most of us aren't that way. So you have to really kind of build up to it to enjoy it.
Yeah.
And then there's certain whiskeys that the first sip is unbelievable. There's some older whiskeys that when you take it, it's just, coat your mouth and all these kind of things. But this is one of those that I think the longer you sit with it, the more you appreciate it.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's a really special whiskey that they're making out there, and good partner of mine. They have several projects that you need to check out. They're really doing some neat stuff.
Well, let's get into Tim Jones Creative then.
Okay.
So that was your background. It's kind of how your story, but let's get into the here and now. Tell us all the things that you're up to now, the businesses you're a part of, and you've already highlighted some of the brands you work with, but talk to us a little bit about that transition period and how it's going.
Yeah, I definitely have my hands in a couple different industries. I have restaurants, I have the creative services, we have the cocktail mix. I'm a partner in a hotel, distillery, and restaurant, and so I've got my hands in a lot of different things. But the creative and the branding and the brand positioning is always kind of woven through it all. With my restaurant, Boondogs, it was a creative project. It wasn't just like, we're going to open a restaurant. We were thinking creatively, and we thought this filled a niche and we could have fun with it. So it really is a creative outlet, just flavors, and a different thing. But so Tim Jones Creative, we're working with really some great ones. Brush Creek, I mentioned, out in Wyoming. We're working with Buzzard's Roost out of Louisville. And they've got a really cool program going. They've got Jeremy Bronner. He was a guy that started Bourbon's Bistro in Louisville. And that was really the kickoff to like restaurants and bars taking advantage of bourbon. There's been stories written about him, and he's in some books that basically say like, without his efforts, Louisville may have not really embraced it when they did. But he created Bourbon's Bistro. So he's got a bourbon out with a partner or two called Buzzard's Roost, and doing some cool blends. So I'm working with them, and I'm working with them based on like, they have so much going on and they have so many cool things it gets a little hard to follow. So I just came in, went through their tasting and did all these things. And I try to help narrow down that story. And what is the sticky pieces that we need to really tell people?
Yeah.
And the main thing that they're doing is that they double oak everything. And they weren't doing it as a trend. They were doing it just because they needed to. And it became a trend. And they weren't the leaders of the trend because they didn't really tell anybody they were doing that.
Right.
But when you look at it, the discovery really is like, wait a minute, you're double oaking everything. And now that's like a really popular thing. And so everything they do is that. So, plus they have him and he knows his stuff. He's got a great palate. I've worked with Old Carter. That was a great brand, still is. It's back on the market. It's all cranking. There was, one of the most fun we had was a rum distillery in Baton Rouge, and it was struggling. Didn't really have much of an identity, and was brought in to help with that. And so we renamed it Oxbow Distillery. There's it's a big part of the land history there, the Oxbow, the river, and the quality of the ground, and they're sugarcane farmers. And they have one of the largest sugarcane. Yeah, it's just a sugarcane mill and the farm.
Yep.
Mhm.
And her name's Olivia, and she is running this little distillery. She's the daughter of the guy that owns the whole thing.
Yeah.
So she's making rum. And the really cool thing about that, and you'll see this as a trend, this is why I get excited about these founders, because the coolest thing about their rum is that she has the pick of the sugarcane. She knows exactly what part of the fields she likes her cane coming from, and she understands like how many cycles it's been on, and she can go in and get grade A molasses before it's, reheated up and becomes just molasses. And so she can pick whatever she wants to make her rum from.
Farm to bottle.
It is. It truly is. And it's a huge operation. The distillery is very small, but it would be an interesting agriculture mixed into spirits with her. And I've been down there several times, and I walk around the fields with her, and her dad. I mean, this place is huge. I mean, it's got great history down there in Baton Rouge. So that's the stuff that really gets me fired up. And it's almost like some people forget how incredible their stories are because they've lived it their whole lives, and they're tired of talking about it, or they're proud of it, but they don't know the value of it because they've lived it.
Yep.
And when an outsider comes in and goes, holy crap, like I've never seen anything like this, like I had never seen anything like that. And the rum is fantastic. And it was just a great one. So we went from renaming to packaging. And when I say we, it's never just me. So there's teams and there's people, package design and all that kind of stuff, help figure out exactly how we're going to talk about this brand. What's different about it is it, it's not competing with other rums that have parrots and pirates on it. It's American rum. And I've been fighting with her to say basically like, if you're going to buy American rum, buy it from Louisiana, because that's where all the cane is, and that's where all the experts are in sugar. So it's like, if you're going to buy a sugar-based spirit, that's a good place to start, same with us with bourbon, it's like, it's a good place to start in Kentucky if you're going to try to make some bourbon.
Yeah.
So lots of really great clients there, always looking for more, the right fits or whatever. And then the restaurant's been really great. It's called Boondogs, and it's a hot dog place, man. It's out in the country. We're surrounded by horse farms. And in Lexington, it's thoroughbreds. And so it's beautiful country. And we're the only little business out there. So you drive out from Lexington, we're still in Lexington, and you can sit and have a hot dog, glass of really good bourbon, and you're surrounded by horses. It's really neat, and it's weird. And the community is like hijacked it, and it's insanely busy in the summer. And we're just really fortunate. This will be our 6th summer. So 5 years we've been open. slinging wieners.
Yeah.
You know?
So let's talk about that. So, most people, when you have visions of people outside of restauranting, when they think about owning a restaurant, most people, I would say, probably migrate towards, whatever town you're in. We all complain and we're like, you know what this town needs?
Yeah.
Needs a really good steak.
Mm-hmm.
We need a really good steak place.
Mm-hmm.
Or there's some people who are like, Italian food. But you went like, let's go, let's not fight for the top. Let's go dominate the bottom. And I'm with you because I'm the guy that if I take the tour of the Oscar Mayer factory, I'm the one guy that still wants a hot dog at the end. I don't give a shit. Yeah. Give me that hot dog because I love a good hot dog.
Yeah, show me how the sausage is made.
So what was the process when you guys were rolling this around? You're like, hot dog, that's the ticket.
It's exactly what you said. I mean, Lexington's not that big, but it's a hotbed for interesting food. And there's some big startups there, like Fazoli's is headquartered there and A&W is headquartered there. So there's some, I think it's because we have like a really interesting food community and it's a test market for a lot of restaurants. So I worked on A&W for a long time, helped them with rebrand and telling their story and stuff. So I think that was part of like my interest in restaurants because I just love them, like their company and their whole thing. But so anyway, hot dogs. I did think it's kind of like what you said. We take what's usually at the bottom of the menu and make it the king, and see what we can do with it. But it's also the background, the real story of that outside of just, I think every great city has a great hot dog place. Mm-hmm. Every place needs a good hot dog place. If you don't have one here, you got to start one.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
I mean, there's a reason they sell it at ballparks. They're just great.
Yeah, that's my go-to. When I go to the ballpark, I'm not interested in nachos. I'm not interested in any of that shit.
Yeah.
I'm going to get the hot dog.
That's right. And I love sausages and getting creative with it, but it's also one of those things where we have a very small restaurant. It's small. The kitchen's small. We have a big field. It's a little, we have about 2 acres, parking lot, restaurant, and field. And so a lot of people will come through. We have some days 800 and some people will come through there.
Wow.
And it's usually just in like a 2-hour window. It's crazy. So we needed an idea, I think, that we can crank out multiple things and be easily customizable at scale and speed. And so all of those things went into it. But also, I feel like we needed a casual location out there, just where it is. I used to drive. My grandmother was in a assisted living in the town over, and I'd go that way, and I would pull into that parking lot all the time, and I'd just imagine hot dogs flowing out of it.
But you can get an old fashioned there though too.
Oh gosh, yeah. Yeah,
so
we do So it's a nice bourbon bar, and we've scaled back a little bit, but we used to always joke, you can come in and get a glass of Pappy and a hot dog, It's like,
I think that's amazing.
Yeah, and when you come to Lexington or most places in that central Kentucky and other places in Kentucky, one of my friends owns a pizza place, and it's one of the heaviest supplied bourbon bar there is. And it's a pizza joint, but it's like bourbon is, king there. So our hot dog place, right now we have just about every Weller, and they're for sale. We have a package license. So we sell bottles of Weller. We're, limited editions of this and that. We've got George T. Staggs. We've got Stag Juniors. And our allocation of Pappy's coming. I saw the list. And so we get it all because we sell a lot of Benchmark. We sell a lot of Fireball. We sell a lot of that stuff. So,
this is someplace I gotta visit.
Yeah, no shit.
There's some convenience there when you can say, I'm just gonna go grab us a couple hot dogs, honey, and then
6 hours later.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but then you come home and then the Amex card is whatever. It's like, well, there might have been a couple of bottles that went along with that.
She asked, "Did you eat that many hot dogs?" Nope. I got
Although
a couple
it's a
bottles.
50-50. I can eat a lot of hot dogs.
Is that a common thing then? Do a lot of like the pizza place? Do they sell bottles too then? Or
I think they do have their package license.
okay.
You have to have a separate license. Pretty expensive. Everything in Kentucky around bourbon is expensive, which makes no sense to me. We should be the least taxed, and
right.
But there was a time where bourbon distilleries were looking elsewhere because they're getting hit so hard. So there's certain things that are a little bit more expensive to be a part of, but I guess they also know that's people are coming in for it,
Yeah.
But I don't think it's super common that everybody has a package license. We wanted to sort of be a / convenience store.
Yeah.
Because it used to be a general store when like years ago. It was Judy Ray's, and it was like a stop and it had a little deli in there, and you could stop and get a sandwich and a pack of cigs and some
How long has it
Mountain
been?
Dew and go on your way.
How long have you been doing it?
Well, we're going on our 6th year.
Okay.
Yeah, 5 solid years. So our timing was great. I mean, we bought the property in the very beginning of 2020, and we started construction before March of 2020, and we were fully in the restaurant business.
Yep.
And then the pandemic hit, and we were like, oh my God, like, what are we going to do? But really over time, we were doing construction. So it allowed us to be fluid in how we, set up the restaurant. We put garage doors in. We really leaned on the outside, spread out picnic tables. So by the time we opened, we were one of the only folks that were like, we're ready for COVID friendly, whatever.
Yep.
So our opening day, we had to shut it down. I mean, we shut the kitchen down at 2:00. It was insane. We built up a little too much press, I think, but it was also like COVID restrictions were pretty strict.
Yeah.
And Kentucky was pretty strict. So we had to like kick people out and put them outside, but it was January and it was a whole thing. But we pivoted. The team's great there. We pivoted right on a dime and got everybody in the following couple days. But it's hot dogs, man.
Have you had any thought of replicating it?
Yeah, we're actively thinking, we're looking for locations.
Yeah.
And a lot of that really has fell on that we feel like we have the right team now. We have a great GM. He's funny. He's in all of our Instagram videos. That we've got a new content creator that's helping us. And it's just the right team. And that was always kind of the part that I wanted to feel really good about our processes and our product and our team. And I think we're pretty locked in to start to try to replicate it. It's going to be tough. I mean, I've worked with other restaurants that they have this killer first location and it just is like a cult following. And then they go to replicate it and it just falls so flat that it actually affects the original one. So I'm timid about it, but if we have the right spot, we'll do it for sure.
Culture plays so much into that because, that team you build, if you can't build that at the next one.
What's the best kind of dog to get? Like, what's your go-to? Like, how do you dress up a hot dog to be kick-ass like that?
So there's a bunch. I mean, our most popular outside of a chili dog's good.
Yeah.
Is this pimento dog. And it's got fried green tomatoes and pimento cheese that we make in-house, and it's really great. We actually work with a local butcher, makes all of our sausages down there in his shop. And we've got this sweet bourbon sausage that he came up with. And so it literally is like sweet up front and then hits you with the heat. And it's so cool how he did it. And it's not really made with bourbon. It just has that same effect of like, man, that's building, but it's like this sweet heat. Mm-hmm. And so I've been getting that with just Swiss cheese and bacon jam. And it's great. It's great. You got bacon jam.
Yeah, I think we need one
you had
here
right there.
If we could go after the podcast, I so would.
Yeah, we'll have some delivered.
Yeah.
DoorDash.
There you go.
Yeah, that would be a DoorDash. He would deserve a hell of a tip.
Where does your time on Moonshiners fall into play in all this?
Yeah.
Because that's probably what people know you
Yeah.
most for, right? Is you being a judge on there, correct?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Me and my wife were talking about this. Like there's groups of people that will know me for certain things. And it's funny because it's like was on Moonshiners a lot. And I mean, I still have episodes coming out, and Master Distiller we had our own show that was called Whiskey Business that we did 3 or 4 episodes, and then it just didn't get picked up. It was before its time. It would kill it right now. Discovery Channel.
If you're listening, bring it.
Whiskey Business was great. We were basically going around and flipping struggling distilleries.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's a lot of craft distillers. Like this was like right after COVID, I guess. And so a lot of tasting rooms were shut down, and these craft distilleries really, that was a big part of their income. And so they were struggling to keep the doors open. So we would go in, and my job, there was an engineer, a distiller, and me as a branding and marketing and liquid kind of guy. And so I would help rebrand the experience or the packaging and figure out, okay, you should not make that anymore and make this. And then we had Tim Smith, he was the distiller. And so he would help them with distillation, and the engineer to tweak their process. It was a great show.
Shit.
It's like Bar Rescue, but
for distilleries. I'm like, bring it back.
Yeah.
And we get that a lot. Like it was a little before its time. It was an expensive show to produce, but
Well, I don't think people realize how prevalent that is, because I had no idea. So Doc Swenson, that bottle we got right over there, I went with some buddies down to Tennessee, and we went to Green River.
Yeah.
But then we went to this guy's place, which we could have all been murdered there and thrown in a ditch. I mean, it was in the sticks. It was right on the Indiana border is where it was. And it's this guy, Doc Swenson, I think's his name. Yeah. And he's an anesthesiologist, but retired. And he's got this whole distillery in a barn. And, you know, he's making whiskey. And it was the most interesting. I mean, you talk about passion, incredible passion, and just loved. And it's his own grain from his own farm, you know, the whole story. But I was just like blown away at how you were able to do that. And I asked him like how many setups like this there are, and he was just like, oh, you know, there's probably hundreds of them. And I had no idea, but it's incredibly interesting. But there's a lot of them that need a little help.
There is. We worked on a few. We've worked on one that was so historically significant, and he's down in North Carolina. We became really close friends, but they had so much history that he inherited. I mean, it was his great grandfather, and they still had glass piles from Prohibition on the farm where they would come in and break all their bottles. And he said he's been digging in that glass pile his whole life, and he found one full bottle with one chip. Most of it's just all broken.
Yeah.
But you know, it's thick old bottles and it's deep. And so it's so cool. And so we created kind of a museum for him in his tasting room. And that's a big part of it. And then there was some that were, you know, I don't want to say too much, but I couldn't believe they were open, you know. I mean, it was pretty rank, but they needed us. I'll say that. They needed us.
Yep.
So that was kind of the start of it. And I'm always reluctant to tell this story because it's embarrassing, but it's funny. And it was more relevant then when I started. But I've been asked, like, how did you get started on that? But
yeah.
So I asked the guy, they called me, thought it was kind of a prank, kind of like, I don't know what this is. And then I finally returned the message or whatever, did the interview, like a Zoom interview or whatever it was at the time. And then they called me next day. I got the part to come in and do that with the help branding and stuff like that. And so after a couple of days of shooting, I asked the showrunner, that's what they call him, how did you find me? You know, like, and they said, well, we Googled bourbon creative director, and you and Matthew McConaughey are the only two that came up. And that was around the time that Matthew McConaughey was the creative director for Wild Turkey.
Yeah.
That was kind of like he did that sort of piece of it, and they launched Long Branch whiskey and stuff like that. And he was like, as creative director, he did all these national spots and everything. And so I always tell the story. It's a little embarrassing, but it was kind of funny.
Yeah.
They were like,
Yeah.
Well,
it's like,
I don't know if we
get
could-
Tim just a hair cheaper
yeah, exactly.
than we
I was
get
like,
Matt.
so he was busy, right? You know? It's like, but they were super cool about it.
So yeah. Okay. So
Yep.
that was something you were going to do. You did it.
Yeah.
You did 5 episodes.
We did we did
Several.
like 4 episodes of that show. A little time passed, and I did then the idea of this competition show came up called Master Distiller. And we were talking about that as we were working on Whiskey Business. And really what they do is they have Moonshiners is the hero. I mean, it's might be 12 or 13 seasons now.
And you already were doing that before.
Whiskey
both of
Business
this?
was first.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was
Whiskey
first.
Business was first.
That was first.
Okay.
And then I think I got out there and they were like, this guy's a nut, you know, like we'll put him on TV, you know, with my beard and my long hair and all the whiskey I would drink and shit. And so they did that. And then they were like, well, we're thinking about doing this Master Distiller. Do you want to be a judge on it? And I was like, hell yeah, let's do this. So I was all kind of excited about it, but I ended up being like a guest judge every so often, which was great. And so I'd be a guest judge if they were doing whiskey or something that really fell into my wheelhouse. And we go in there, and if you've seen the show, it's exactly what it looks like. And drank some really great stuff and some really horrible stuff. You know, there's some people that we said we felt really bad about cutting, but that was a lie.
Yeah. You were like, you should absolutely not.
Yeah, it's like it wasn't your day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll put it that way. They just didn't make the cut. But there was some really amazing stuff that came out of it, and I think it was helping me along too, because there's a lot of innovation in a competition.
Yeah.
And when you see what some of these folks were coming up with, you know, and they're not from a trained old school Kentucky distillery that this is, you know,
They're just figuring it out.
They're figuring it out. They're using stuff nobody uses. And then they really have all that backwoods engineering, you know, ingenuity. And so they're figuring stuff out and using stuff that a big distillery may never be able to use or not even think of, or just doesn't make sense. So there's a lot of innovation that happens.
So was this, what kind of time frame was this? Was this when you were still working in that agency?
Yeah, it was, which was interesting.
Sorry, I'm not going to be able to be at work next week.
Yeah, and it didn't go well. I literally took all my vacation days to do a TV show. And so it was interesting to me, you know, because I was like, well, I'm going to try to bring as much eyeballs to us, what we do. And again, just, you know, when you have an employer, and we were all close. It's not a huge shop. I mean, it's small. I mean, we got up to like 70 people, so not super tiny, but I was, you know, one of the leaders of the team on the leadership board and all that kind of stuff. And I was just gone doing TV,
MIA.
you know, and so that didn't go great. And I think there was a little bit of like, you know, what are you doing? But it was really, we would do 3 or 4 days at a time. The producers and showrunners and everybody were super great because they knew I had a full-time job, and they would really schedule me on the weekends and Friday through Monday or something. And they would try to get my scenes in.
Yep.
And the other guys were there the whole time. I mean, like they never left. They were in the hotels until the thing was done, but they would fly me in and out. And so we did everything we could to keep the balance of the day job.
Where did they shoot it at? Mostly,
so Whiskey Business would be between like North Carolina and Virginia.
Yep.
There's a lot of history, a lot of distilling history down there, especially moonshining.
Yep.
A lot of mountains and things, a lot of good water. And then Master Distiller, our first episode, it's funny, but most of that's like in the Pigeon Forge area. Pigeon Forge, Sevierville, that area. Now it's moved to Asheville, North Carolina. That was the last place I went. Yeah, it's just really awesome. When we would do Master Distiller, the first episode of Master Distiller, you can see it if you watch the episode. Got this long hair, and I'm judging, and there was a hard stop for me. They were like, "That's a wrap on Tim," and we'd already sampled a lot of moonshine, and I was like, "Great!" So me and another distiller, he was one of the distillers on a different show. We went out. We were like, getting some beers, drinking some cocktails, and then I get a phone call. I get a text from one of the people. They're like, "You're going to be on speaker during the episode because we're going to bring you back." And I was like, oh,
I didn't plan for that.
I was like, this is going to be interesting. and they were like, "Hey, Tim, where are you?" "I'm just down the road." That didn't make the cut on the show, but that's how it went. And they were like, "Well, we just can't decide who wins. We're going to have to bring you back and you're going to have to make the final call.
You're the tiebreaker."
And I was like, oh, fuck. And so I come wild, just wild as a buck, man, just out of my mind, having a great time. And I don't think I don't think I had pissed in like 3 hours. And so everything just bubbled. I'm like on set, really had, I wasn't supposed to be working.
Yep.
I had to interrupt the shoot like 3 times to get up and pee, like all this stuff. But we got through it. But if you watch it, I can see the pain in my face of like, I'm not going to make it. I have no idea what's going on. So that was a good episode.
That was the first episode?
That was the first episode.
You must have done a banger job though, because they were like, "Yep, we're just going to keep rolling it."
Yeah. I don't know. I left that day and I was like, yeah, that's over.
So where did Moonshiners? So that came last then, Moonshiners.
Yeah. So I was always a guest. I was always somebody that they would bring in for some scene or, a guest of judging. Like I would sometimes, if you ever see the show, all these moonshiners, they're always trying to get creative and use different things. And they're trying to use grains or fruits to make brandies that there's local and they have readily available. Well, usually mid-season, at the end of the season, what I was doing is they would invite me in and they would say, "All you moonshiners, bring the best jar of the season. And we're going to have Tim taste them all and kind of see who had the best jar of the season." Yep. And this was moonshiners. So like Tim Smith and Digger and all those guys. If you watch the show, those are Tickle and Josh and all those fellas. So I would drink their stuff and tell them who had the best, They were all good.
Were you taking donations pre?
No.
You're
above
table. That's good.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
I'd ruin my whole reputation.
Yep. Right.
There was questions though, because I would pick some stuff and they thought it was rigged or something.
Substandard.
Yeah, but no, they were just pissed because they didn't win.
Yep.
That's how it happens. But.
So with everything you're doing, everything you've done, where do you feel like the drive to do it all comes from? Do you feel like it was from your upbringing? Like when did you realize that being a creative and wanting to build brand and do creative things was in you?
I think early on. I mean, I never could sit still. I was always into something, out of it, into something else. And just the big idea kid, always had some scheme and, just that way all the time, just never stopped. And so I don't think it was any surprise that I have multiple things I'm juggling. I tried not to for a long time, I went and got jobs and would work for other companies and stuff, but I would always freelance on the side or something. But I think it's just the drive really comes from what's next. Everything's exciting. There's so much opportunity right now everywhere. I mean, with all the education we have at our fingertips all the time, we can all learn something new.
Yep.
And I love doing that, man. I had stacks of magazines to the ceiling when I was a kid, like a small town, Eastern Kentucky. That was your whole world. It was like Soldier of Fortune.
That was your
mini
Google.
truck. Yeah, that was, yeah. And so it was just like, what is all this stuff? And so I was always interested in everything. And I think that's also a curse, you know? I mean, I do love everything. Like I find interest in everything and people and how things are ran. And I mean, even recently, like the beef and agriculture, it's in my blood. There's some in there from my grandfather. I'm super interested in it. We bought some steers this year. I mean, I'm a little late to the party. I didn't know that. Like I didn't realize what was going on in the world of beef. And I went back to the old family farm. My cousin lives on it now. And I was like, hey, I'd like to get some cattle. He's like, okay, what are you thinking? You know, I'm like, I don't really know. I just remember what my grandfather did. He had this beautiful Beefmaster farm, and he was really early to bring Beefmaster, the breed, over to Kentucky. He was one of the first, if not the first. He had the first Beefmaster cattle sale in Kentucky. Just unbelievable bulls. I mean, there's a bull on his tombstone, you know, on his headstone. Yep. Corduroy and Fred Jones are on that headstone. And it says Corduroy on his bull.
Yeah.
And so I loved it, you know, and I lived in town, which was, you know, like small town. So you're only 10 minutes away from the farm. So growing up, fishing all the farm ponds, we always had dirt bikes and everything out there. It's just the greatest, you know. So the farm was always extremely special, always has been. And so when I went back out there, I approached my cousin and I was just like, I like to dabble, dip my toe in it, you know, and I'm hearing it's a good time, you know. And this was at the beginning of this year. And he's like, well, we're kind of selling out. His dad's getting older and he not super interested in it. And I said, well, I don't know, like, let's just buy some steers and see what we can do. And, you know, I'd like to start a cow calf like Pawpaw used to do and get into Beefmaster. And he's like, man, a Beefmaster, you know, I don't know. It's just a lot. Yep. And what's interesting though, is I made that connection after 20 years, went back and he lives in my grandfather's house now. So I'd go in and I looked at the house first time in a long time. And it was just like, wow, this is awesome. Just being back here. It's the best place on earth. Yeah. It's the most beautiful view. It's just the greatest. And unfortunately, my dad passed away this year. That was a big reason we couldn't connect for a long time. But he had passed away in May, and our cemetery is on that farm.
Really?
And yeah. So wow. I go back every week now, and I take care of the cemetery. And so it's just a weird circle where out of the blue, I thought, man, I'd like to get into cattle. Let me go talk to my cousin, because if I'm going to buy some cattle, I want it to be on this farm.
Put them out here.
Let's put them out here. And so now he actually has kind of ramped up his operation a little bit. And so when I go up there and mow or whatever, he's got some cattle around, and my truck smells like cow shit again. It's pretty awesome.
I love it. That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's kind of bittersweet. It's not the reason I want to go there every week to take care of a cemetery.
Yeah.
But it's a really special place. It's like really sacred grounds that everybody in that little cemetery I had a personal connection with.
Yeah.
Except my great-grandparents and one of their sons. I didn't know them. But my grandparents, Fred and Norma Jones, that started Jones Beefmaster in Kentucky, they're there. My uncles, my cousins, they're all there. And it's small. And that's I had a great relationship with all of them. Now Dad's there, which is tough. But I love being back there. I mean, where that cemetery is, I mean, that's where we shot clay pigeons off that hill, hit some golf balls, rode our four-wheelers. So it's really neat to sit back and look at that farm again. And it's great to see cattle on it again too. So, yeah.
How many steers did you end up getting?
So him and I got 4.
Yeah.
And his dad already had 40 head probably on a back farm. And we dabbled and he's still kind of keeping it going. And he has a day job, but he lives on the farm.
Yeah.
And so, it's really cool. So if I did anything, I hope I lit a little spark in him to do it.
Yeah.
It was always in him. He was just like, it's hard. Farming's hard.
Yeah.
Tim, cattle isn't easy.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, it is. They eat on their own.
Yeah.
They just walk around.
Yeah.
Did he just look at you?
Oh yeah,
And
he
just
knows
turn
I'm an
around and
idiot,
walk away?
You know, he knows I love steaks, and I told him, I said, "Well, I've got a hot dog place that serves 90 pounds of burger every few days. I mean, you know, we go through a lot of burgers, maybe not a few days, and then I'm opening a steakhouse. So like, we can just all you need to do, you know, we just need to supply these two places, and we'll be good."
So is that what your plan is? Your plan to process them, or are you going to just market sell them?
I mean, a little bit. You know, I think like I have a freezer full of beef that, you know, I eat steaks every few days, and we eat a lot of burgers. And I mean, I've bought from you guys quite a bit, and it's top notch. And you guys do great work.
We'll appreciate
Farmer
that.
grade is
I
awesome.
might or might not have slipped him some money outside just to try to make him feel good.
No, I have to say, you guys are really great.
Well,
and I
thank
think
you.
what you're doing with Farmer Grade is super cool. I think you found a really interesting way to sell meat and bring it to a different, you know, group. Shedding light on the importance of knowing where your food comes from. You guys are doing a great job.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, really
I
great job.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is some inspiration to us too.
Yeah.
Just to understand it, to know that if we all work together, then people might actually realize you should probably, one, value where your food comes from.
Yeah.
And two, know where it comes from, and know your farmers, and know all your folks around you that are actually creating the food you eat.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you're doing a great job, and this podcast has been great too.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Back to just the whole your drive and
Yeah.
the idea of there's a video I saw about Steve Jobs, and he's in his garage and he's talking about, I think this is like before Apple really took off, or maybe it was in between, but he just talks about how the second you realize in life that you can like poke your finger into life, and when you poke into it, something comes out on the other side of it. That's like a complete unlock for just how you live your life. And the things that are around you were made from people that are no smarter than you, but they just were the ones that were poking their finger into that. And once you do that and you realize that you can create something, you can build a brand, you can make a difference. It's hard. Once you get bit by that bug, it's hard to ever go back. You know,
it is. I think it seems like such a huge task, but I think all of us have it in us because we all have ideas.
Yeah.
Some really bad ones.
Yes.
But you have to go through them, and I think you got to be willing. But I do think it takes a certain type of person to go for it. I think we're all capable.
Yeah.
But to not know where your next paycheck comes from, or if it's going to work at all, I mean, it does take some guts and some planning. I think there's, you know, the old saying of like the duck, you know, it's real calm on top of the water, but it's paddling like hell underneath. Like, that's true. Like you try to do that. But I think you're right. I think a lot of the drive is knowing that it can be done. And like, if you just stop and really focus that energy on something, it's so rewarding on the other side. Yeah. You know, whether it makes it or not, like you get to meet cool people and
learn a lot. You learn a lot regardless if it works or not.
Learn a ton.
You learn
a ton, man. You learn a lot. So yeah, I think that's a big part. And I think being fearless to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Just knowing it's going to be okay. I can say that. I don't have kids.
Yeah.
I have no kids, and told Jessica, if we're not going to have kids, let's just live the most selfish life you've ever seen.
Well, I feel like, and I've told both my boys this, I feel like I completely ruined both of them because somehow they got that entrepreneurial spirit. And once you have that, it's like you said, they're pretty much ruined. We're all ruined. We're ruined. Like, we could never work for anybody else because once you have just a little bit of success working for yourself, like you'll work for yourself way less than you would ever take as a salary working for somebody else. If somebody offered me what we made starting out, I'd be like, fuck you.
Yeah.
But you'll do it for yourself and you'll be happy. You'll be smiling ear to ear.
Mhm.
And that's just part of it. It's like, it's infectious.
It is.
Well, it's just like, I just think about, you're going to die someday. And on my deathbed, it's like, are you going to wish you would have done all these things and you didn't do them? It's like, you got one crack at this thing. I mean, you break it down to that. It's as simple as form. That's why you got to go with those ideas. And yeah, the economics and making money and taking the jump and financial risk and all the stress and all the work-life balance shit, not having any. There's a lot of shit that comes with it. But like you said, on the other side of it, you create something freaking awesome that people enjoy, and you left a mark on the world, you know? And that's got to mean more than anything. I mean, what else means more than that? So,
yeah,
Look
totally.
at you.
Yeah.
I'm just saying,
Laying
It
down
is
some
very true.
philosophy.
Very true.
Well, okay.
it's this whiskey.
Yeah.
It makes me
Have
sentimental.
you had enough that you can render a verdict on it?
I haven't, but you can go ahead with yours.
I can tell you that I really like it. And the reason I like it, and I'm going out on a limb here because as you and I talked before, I don't feel like I have a very sophisticated palate, unlike people that make these reviews where they can tell you all the notes that they got. But the one thing I like about this is on the front end, the burn isn't on the front end at all. You get that sweetness. You really do get the sweetness of the cask, and the sharpness is on the back end.
It is. Mhm.
But then the flavor, you still taste the flavor after that,
Mhm.
which is really good because a lot of stuff you don't get that. So I really like it.
Well, what would you rate it?
Mm. On our scale that varies
1 to
every
10.
1 to 10,
1 to 10.
I would say I'd have to rate it like
I got a number.
I'd have to rate it like about an 8.
That was my number. That was my number.
Yeah.
That's great.
It's good. No, it's good. I mean, I would
great.
sip it.
What I think there's I rate it pretty high. I rate it high as well. And not just because I'm working with them. I do know all the work that goes into that bottle, which is a lot, because when you think about Wyoming, I'll call them and I'll be like, hey, when is that release coming out on time? Like, well, we can't get to the barrel barns. We're snowed in.
Yeah.
Or all the shipping is shut down because the passes are all shut down for months.
Yeah.
So a part didn't come in to finish the bottling line. So it is like they're fighting elements out there that no Kentucky distiller's ever seen.
Yeah.
So there's an extra layer of work out there, and they're all like, I call them the cowboys of whiskey, and they hate that because I would hate it too if I was them. But they have to do all the work themselves. There's no specialty people coming in to fix stuff. They're doing it all. Yeah. And they're pulling barrels from a barn, half mile away, put them on a trailer with a forklift and bringing them up to the distillery. I mean, it's so much extra work. But what I do like about it is that in a Manhattan, like you can almost taste it. If you like Manhattans, there's already a Manhattan quality to it because there's a little bitterness to it. And a lot of that comes from that cask they're using. And so it's already on the, like, you can create this elevated Manhattan.
Yeah.
So not all whiskey is like the greatest sipping neat. But that's okay.
Yeah.
Like I like it neat. But if somebody doesn't, a little bit of water or ice, but also a cocktail, it makes an incredible cocktail.
Yeah. And, well, okay, I don't want to lose my thought. So my first two things. One, I don't think people realize that as bourbon and whiskey has grown, a real advantage that the Southeast has is the whole industry was built there. And so whatever you need, they're a phone call away. Like whatever you need, your bottling line, your rick house, your whatever widget you need is right there. when you go and you decide you're going to do this, there's been a lot done in Texas, but Colorado, Wyoming, California, wherever you want to talk about. I mean, and arguably like, I really like Still Austin. They've done, I think that's some of the, I mean, if you're going to talk about whiskey out of Texas, I think that's the best there is, in my personal opinion. But if you're going to do that, it's kind of like the Wild Wild West all over again, because if you need something and you're not willing to fly that person in, you're going to have to figure it out, because there's nobody out there to do any of this stuff, unlike where it's traditionally been made.
Yeah. And I think when you talk about Kentucky bourbon, a lot of folks will talk about our water source, limestone filtered, or our weather, which is a big one, because we do have this really great balance of weather. Cold nights, hot days, humid. I mean, there's so much intricacy in our location, but also the talents there too. I mean, we have hundreds of years of talent and recipes written down on the rickhouse walls and temperatures around the stills. And these folks that are just starting out, they know how to distill, and they have the best equipment. They have the best mash bills and the best recipes and the best corns, and they have a great palate. But it does take a while to really dial that stuff in based on your location, how your still actually works, your atmosphere on barreling stuff. And so we're just ahead on a timeline because of our history.
Yeah. And if you're distilling in Wyoming, does that slow the process down? So, I would assume it would it not?
Yeah. So any barrels will go dormant at a certain temperature. If it's freezing outside, barrels don't do anything. You might as well not even call it aging.
Okay.
The whiskey just sits in a barrel. But the neat thing about Wyoming and their altitude is that affects that whiskey, and they're battling all kinds of different elements than we would. And so they're an altitude thing. And so there's interesting things that altitude does, and pressure. And so it's just different. And so that's why whiskeys from all different places taste different, even beyond who made it and all that. But in Kentucky, a big part is even where it is on the rickhouse floors.
Yeah, right.
And so some of your favorites that might be bottom shelf, they may be at the top of the rickhouse because it's super hot. There's not as much transition in it could be like screaming hot for weeks and weeks.
Yep.
And so that pressure in those barrels, that whiskey is just getting forced into that wood. And it's not necessarily coming in and out. And that char in that barrel is our filter. And so that whiskey is going through that layer into the wood, coming back out, and that char is filtering it. And it's filtering out things we don't want. It's giving it color. It's smoothing it out. It's pulling certain oils out and different things. Well, some of your longer age whiskeys might be at the bottom. And so those really high age stated whiskeys are probably more at the bottom of the rickhouse, where it's a little more delicate temperature swings.
Yeah.
So they can allow that whiskey to sit down there longer because it's just gradually moving around in that wood.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of intricacies when it comes to like carving off different brands out of the same rickhouse.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a reason, because the bottom floor and the top floor may not taste the same at all. And used to, they may have just blended everything together and call it brand X. But now people are understanding like, well, if we want to sell a age stated whiskey, a 10-year or 20-year, we're probably not going to pull barrels from the top. We're going to find these barrels. So,
but even then, you got to have somebody there that's blending that.
Absolutely. The blenders and all the palettes that are working behind the scenes to make that work is incredible. Just a lot of talent and years and understanding whiskey.
Have you ever seen, and I want to say that this was, and I don't even know if it's still out there, there was I guess you'd call it kind of a documentary, and it was about the guy that was I want to say he was the master blender at Brulade, which was is that Scotland or Ireland?
It's probably Scotland. I haven't seen this documentary.
He left there. He left there, but he had been there ever since he was in high school. In fact, he played hooky to work at the distillery, and then he was there so long but they're interviewing him, and he's out in they just let their barrels out like it's just a big yard. They don't have like a rick house, and he's walking around
old bourbon barrels.
He's walking around and he's talking to the people, and he goes over and they ask him what's the best. So Brulade Black Art was a big, that was like, it won a bunch of awards and it was great. And it had a run of like 2 or 3 years where it was voted like the best scotch or whatever. And they asked him, if that was the best work he'd ever done. And he said no. And he walks him over there and he goes, these barrels right here, he goes, this is the best. And he goes, they're never going in a bottle because nobody knows where they're at except for me. And I just come out here and take a dram out of them like every day. And I just thought that is so awesome. And that within every system, there's a guy that knows that rick house, and he knows what barrels are the ones that he really likes and they're probably never coming out of there.
Yeah, or they're coming out half empty.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right.
Yeah, it's very true. Those guys that work in those warehouses that are in there every single day,
yep.
They're the folks that don't get enough credit usually because they'll know on the 3rd floor, the 16th run in the middle is the sweet spot.
That's the best spot.
It's the best spot.
Yep.
For whatever reason, the window has been open for 30 years or hasn't been latched because it's broke or whatever.
Yep.
There's no sunshine on this side. It's not pounding. There's just reasons. And all those big rick houses have those sweet spots, and those guys know them.
Yeah.
They know them.
It's crazy.
It's cool.
Let's switch gears a little bit.
Okay.
Let's go back to the entrepreneurial journey.
Okay.
What is something that on your journey, on your path, that you wish you would have learned earlier that could have helped you more?
Yeah, that's a good question. That would have helped me more. I think.
Or just biggest lesson you've learned. I mean,
the biggest
overall
lesson is that's a great question. There's a lot of them, man. There's a lot of great lessons. I think one of them definitely is making sure and understanding like your entire team have ideas. And I think just like maybe listening a little bit more earlier. I think I did, but I think I could have done a lot more of that where ideas can come from anywhere. And there's not one position or one person that's their job. It's like everybody's job to bring good ideas. And it could be production or anything just to make it make the product better or the project better. But I think just understanding that everybody's bringing something to the table and some of the ideas could be from the least expected place.
Mm-hmm.
I also think probably trusting my gut even more. And I think that's a powerful piece that some people don't really trust. But like your gut, man, it's there. Like if you've done the research and you've lived it and you're in it, like that gut probably ain't going to lie. And it's going to get you in trouble sometimes. But like really just not stopping until you know it's right and not allowing something to go out the door before it's right.
Yeah. I heard somebody say once that your gut feeling is wisdom. It's your wisdom speaking to you.
I like that.
I'm like, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I think so.
Because you don't really learn to trust your gut. Then you live a long time, and then people are like, trust your gut.
Yeah.
And then you're like, well.
Yeah, the earlier you can learn to do that, the better off you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think what you said earlier too is realizing everybody's kind of equal. There's a lot more equality in people's journeys than you think. Nobody really understands it. Nobody actually has the answers.
We're all just trying to figure.
We're all
the fuck
trying
out.
to figure it out. And I think as soon as you can understand that man, this person looks like they've got it all figured out. They're scrambling. They're having sleepless nights.
Yep.
They're scared. They're worried. They're celebrating. They have ups and downs, just like you. It's all good.
Mm-hmm.
And that the struggle is, it's real for everybody.
Yeah. And you've been in those kind of rooms with those kind of people, and they still, they feel it.
Yeah. And I remember one of my first bosses, something I learned from him this was at the boat company. He would come in if we presented something. This could be something huge for the business. He would make a decision and live with it. Like he really made, I was really impressed with that. He would just make that decision and he would live with it. And then he understood like he could pivot down the road. If he needed to make adjustments, he'll make adjustments. But he just didn't, he let his experience, be the tool. And I think that was cool to watch him. I was impressed all the time. It scared me to death. Like I'd watch him do it. I'm like, man, that was quick. But it was a neat lesson to watch.
Yeah.
Well, so what you've told a lot of brand stories. You helped create some of the best brands in whiskey and bourbon. What do you think are the fundamental things to tell a really good story or build a really great brand? What does it take?
Yeah, I mean, that's a big one. I mean, that's a big.
You got to
question.
sign an NDA because he's not going to give
Go
away.
to timjonescreative.com.
Yes, fill out the contact.
The process is we have a first meeting. No, no, I think it's different for everything, but I think authenticity is important. I think understanding your strengths, what you can offer to the world, to the industry, to the community, like really understanding that, and really lean in on quality when it matters. Sometimes quality is not the end goal. I mean, it's just, but I think really understanding your actual goals up front. And this goes away from brand a little bit, but more business too. But like understanding, like, is my goal to sell this thing at the end of the day? Or is my goal to live with this forever and grow it? Or is my goal to impact my community at little profit to me, but I'm trying to do better in the world? Like understanding what the actual goal is will help you create a more authentic brand and be able to tell your story in a way that you're proud of. And I think that's really important for founders and company folks and anybody trying to grow a brand is like, pick a lane that makes sense that you can be proud of. And then the great brands, I mean, they do have a little magic. I mean, there's a little bit of magic there that you just can't explain. And a lot of it, to me, has been really keeping a finger on the pulse of your consumer and allowing them to hijack it a little bit and understand that they're going to take it where they want and you're not going to expect it. And it's your job to understand where to get the narrative back because it might be going off the rails or let it go.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you do both. Sometimes you stick to your guns and you're the brand, but you have a subculture over here that's hijacked it that you may never even acknowledge. They've just hijacked it.
Right.
And they're growing it in their own community, but you're still sticking to your guns. You're not just shifting over here because there's a trend and then shifting over here. You're just flexible enough to let it go.
Yep.
And let it grow.
But if it's the right trend happening, you might embrace it.
Yeah, you might. And then sometimes you let it happen because as soon as a brand embraces something too, it'll kill it because all of a sudden now it's like, wait, we don't want that. And then it turns off their core consumer.
Bud Light.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking about that, but they did that on their own. I was just trying to think of what an example of that, of a brand that doesn't even realize they have like a subculture that is like, building them up, but they don't really give them the credit.
Well, I'll give you a good example.
He's got one.
I'll give you a good example of like a brand that I guess you would say doesn't, in the professional sense, it doesn't even exist anymore. But culturally, I'm amazed at how present it still is. And that's Dale Earnhardt. Like, you still see people, like I just saw a TikTok the other day of somebody talking about how the United States Navy should go away from painting all their stuff gray because everybody knows where all these ships are. There's no such thing as trying to camouflage them. They should have all the American, we should make them like badass. So in other words, all the destroyers should be painted black with a number 3 on the side. And it was like an 18-year-old kid saying this. And I'm like,
still relevant.
It's so still relevant that that's like the Intimidator. And like that is a brand that just has endured. And that kid was not around for any of that. But when you see that black number 3, you're like, the Intimidator.
Mm-hmm.
That's incredible.
Crazy.
I've actually never thought about it that way, but you're right. I mean, the Intimidator being number 3.
So what business, what brand do you think has a subculture?
Well, I think they're well aware of it. And again, this is a little bit less. This is not a great example today, probably. I mean, I still think it is, but back in the day, punk rock was pretty big.
Yep.
And the wardrobe of like punk rock was Doc Martens.
Yep.
And it's always been an example in the marketing world and advertising world of a culture that has hijacked a brand for their own, but the brand never acknowledges it. They're just work boots.
Yep.
And so but it was a piece of the wardrobe. And so there's that kind of stuff happening for a lot of brands. And then there's brands, I mean, I still think it seems like a cliche and it's not an example of that, but like Yeti's still an incredible example. And, people throw around Nike and Coca-Cola and all these big ones. Yeti's right there now. I mean, they have been for a while, but they're an authentic brand that started on the bow of a fishing boat, in the Keys or whatever, standing on it. And they created a stronger cooler because theirs were falling apart and they needed a place to stand on so they could fly cast. Yeah. And it's just it's
a whole thing.
It's a whole thing.
You have a damn Yeti coffee mug.
That's right. I mean, you got to think it's like a lifestyle brand. So when you can create a lifestyle brand, then it's a whole different thing. Yes. I mean, it might not be the greatest example, but it's a neat example in the overall, like you're creating coolers.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems cliche, but when you really look at that, it's called Yeti. It's, everything about it, I've always been just fascinated. Red Bull's another big cliche, but it is true.
Yep.
They disrupted a market that didn't even exist.
Yeah.
I mean, they disrupted a beverage market, but I think that's the other key type of.
And I feel like their marketing is like, it's never somebody drinking a Red Bull. It's not a commercial of somebody drinking a Red Bull. It's them doing crazy ass shit.
Yeah, it's
like you being extreme. That's why you should drink Red Bull. Is do the crazy shit, have wings, go fly, and then they have their cartoons, and that's how they market their ads. It's just it's great. Unique.
It's great, and I think when you really if I had to, talk, if we were just having a meeting or something, we have to think about like what are we actually selling, and we use examples a lot of like certain cars or watches or whatever. They're not selling like a watch, they're selling status.
Yeah.
Certain brands. So you got to understand what you're actually selling.
Yeah.
And then play to that.
Mm-hmm.
Certain car brands, they're not selling the car, they're selling performance or
Jeep.
Whatever it is. Yeah. So there's a whole different language behind the scenes when we're trying to build brands is what's our end goals? What are we actually selling? What's our brand positioning? We use things like single ownable brand benefits. What are the the clusters of words that only we can own.
Yep.
Yeah, individual words can be owned by anybody, but if you put these three together, that's us and only us type of stuff. It's fun.
I think it's really interesting you brought that up, though, about runway, about a lot of people when they start, they don't think of the end in mind.
Yeah.
Because there is a huge difference in the message and the speed at which you want to build a brand. If you're you want to sell that brand, you want to grow it and you want to sell it, or this is your ride or die. This is your
name.
This is your life. You're going to own this. I mean, those are two totally different.
Yeah.
Different.
Every decision you make is based on that.
Right.
And every failure is either okay or you can shift. Because if you have to shift, you need where to shift. Where are you going to shift? So it is great. And not all of us can do it, but
no,
it's a great thing to think about.
Mm-hmm. And it makes a huge difference what you have for time. Because if you're playing the long game, like you were talking about bourbon, when you're talking about thinking 20 years down the road, when you put that barrel in the rick house, that's a whole lot different than we got to maximize this because we want to turn around and sell it to somebody.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think bourbon right now is, it's probably in that stage of, there was a lot of folks that wanted to turn one because there was some brands getting bought for astronomical prices. And so a lot of folks thought they could source some barrels, put a brand on it, get it in the market, do the upfront distribution stuff, and then sell it for $100 million. But there's a lot of those sitting there valued at a lot less.
Yep.
Unfortunately.
It's kind of the same way in the meat business.
Yeah.
There's a lot of moving parts. And I feel like venture capitalists and they like the idea of getting into whiskey or getting into agriculture because it's this huge market.
Mm-hmm.
But then they realize that like, hey, in 7 years, you're probably not going to get the return that you would usually get on like a widget or a app or whatever, because there's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
And
a lot of unpredictable moving parts.
I mean, there's just a lot of shit. And so, I feel like there's a lot of companies out there in just the ag and meat space too that went and raised around, and then 7 years come by and the investors are like, where's this return?
Our 30%.
Yeah, where's the
30%?
return? And they're like, shit, man. So it's a crazy world. Who do you feel like has had the biggest impact on the direction of your life? It can be business, somebody you worked with, family, friends.
Yeah, I think my grandfather and my dad.
Yeah.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Dad, for sure. Mm-hmm. My grandfather was a visionary in a lot of ways. He born and raised in that little town that I'm from, Olive Hill, Kentucky. My grandmother the same. Early, my grandfather knew he wanted to buy that farm. And he didn't want to just buy the farm he grew up on. He wanted to buy all the farms. And I just realized this recently, that was his vision. He left and went to Cleveland and worked for American Greetings and realized early on, he was still a teenager, that he could do a little piece of their job better. And he opened a factory right next door, and they were his biggest client for 50 years, or his biggest customer. And so just that mindset of one, knowing what he wants in the end, and he has to go do whatever he needs to do to come back and do it. He wanted to be a cattleman, really, is what he wanted to be. He wanted to pull the strings and buy the stuff. And so he did that, and that's been inspirational my whole life. I've just always looked up to that. I thought it was super cool. And he did. He started a factory, Cleveland, ended up having one in Massachusetts, had one in Kentucky, ran those. My dad, that's how my dad met my mother in Massachusetts, because there was a factory there that my dad was up there for, and the rest is history. They all moved back to Kentucky. But my grandfather ended up buying that farm out from his siblings and some surrounding property, came back and started his dream cattle business.
Yep.
And had his factory there in that little town and employed 100 people for years and years and years. and was running his dream cattle business over here on the side. Had prize bulls, man. Super cool.
What kind of what time? What years?
Yeah, so the cattle business was 80s. And I've got a newspaper clipping. He had a sale, his first sale in Lexington, which was a big deal back then to have something in Lexington. And it was $1 million cattle sale. He had one bull corduroy that's on his tombstone, his headstone. It was like $250,000 bull in the 80s.
Yep.
And he ended up buying him back because he loved him so much. But he was a passionate guy. He loved cattle. He built his house right in the middle of it and could go out on the porch and look at them. And so that, and then my dad, obviously. My dad ran the factory. And so he worked so hard. And so like Fred was a big visionary, had big picture thinking, and Dad was a grinder. Like he made it work. He worked hard every day, never missed a day of work in his life. Was just in there crunching numbers, trying to figure it out. And he was really trying to make sure Fred could buy that next bull, out of the factory and stuff. But Dad was just a grinder, worked super hard.
Yeah.
And would always tell me, because I have so many things going on that I've got great managers. And I lean on them guys a lot. And Dad would always be like, you need to get over there more, And I'm like, well, I'm over here. He's like, well, you got to do it all. If you're going to do it, you got to do it all. But he would just never miss work. Yeah. So he was just always there, hard worker. So my grandfather and my dad for sure.
Look at that, Sawyer. They were ahead of their time of doing something else so they could afford to farm. Yeah. We talk about that all the time about how there isn't anybody farming so they can afford to run a plumbing shop. Or in their case, like your grandpa wouldn't have raised cattle to be able to afford to have a greeting card factory. Yeah. Everything is, we will do anything and bust our ass to afford to farm.
Yeah, I can see it. I envy it. Like I feel it. It's in me somewhere.
It's crazy.
And when I'm out there, I'm like, man, I see it. I see why they'll do anything to be here and to make sure it never leaves. Like I can see it. And I'm very, not envy is not the right word, but I am envious, but I can see the allure to it. And whatever that word is I'm looking for, but I can see it. It's awesome. And I look up to all the farmers, like I really do. And I'm not just saying that because I'm here, but when I drive through this part of the country, I'm like, my goodness, this is life. Like this is like, you live and breathe it, it seems. I don't live here, so I don't know, but I don't know how you couldn't live and breathe this and get it done.
Yeah.
It's so vast and huge. Like when I'm in Kentucky, it's rolling hills and you don't see it. But from here, you're like looking for these fields are incredible. But the amount of work that goes into it is pretty incredible, I'm sure. So,
So as you have built what you're doing, how hard was it for you to delegate, to find people to do what basically you knew you couldn't do?
I think that's another answer to the previous question of like learn that early. But there was a moment everything changed for me. And it's a very simple moment. And it's when I was like doing design work, art direction. I realized I didn't have the skills to do certain things, but I knew this client needed this look or this video or, this cinematic shot. And I didn't have the skills to do it. So I would bring in somebody and then I would bring in somebody to do this and I'd bring in somebody to do this. And then all of a sudden it was like, wait a second, hiring more talented people than you is like, man, this is pretty good.
Yeah.
And if you can bolt on either yourself to a talented team or bolt a talented team to yourself, it's like you're kind of unstoppable once you understand how to delegate. And I'm not great at it. I don't handle it the best all the time, but when you have that magic team that you're all kind of speaking the same language, it is unstoppable at that point.
Yeah. Was that scary when you had to do that?
Man, I was excited. I'll be honest. I think in the beginning it was because then it feels like you're losing value and and a lot of people keep it really close to them. It's like, this is my value. I can't give this to somebody. I can't give this up or I can't admit I'm not the greatest at this because this is why I'm here.
Yep.
But I think to become a leader, once you start admitting what you're not great at and you start making good decisions to bring that talent in, then you become more trustworthy and a leader. And I think that was happening to me. It was scary because I thought, well, if I have to hire somebody to do the job I'm doing, then I don't have a job. But it just made the project better, and it made everything better, and everything started to scale up and grow. And then I could do 10 jobs and not one, you know, and that was a real light bulb. And I sometimes maybe, like, according to my dad, I delegate too much now, but I enjoy it. I love working with people. So
Sawyer, I suck at all of it. So
yeah, we're figuring that part out. You know, it's, well, one, you got to have the cash flow to delegate, but two, just knowing.
If you want to grow your cash flow, though, you got to delegate.
Well, I know it's a vicious circle.
It's a vicious circle.
Yeah, because it's like you might not have all the cash right away to hire somebody, but you know, if you free up that time, how much more cash flow could you get if you're working on another thing?
It is hard.
It's a hard.
It's the hard.
jump.
It really is the hardest thing, because that hire usually is, you're so counting on it to work, and people are people.
Yep.
And you get the wrong person in there. I've done it. I mean, you know, I've done it recently. I've done it in the past where you put so many eggs in this hire because it's like, oh, this is going to take this whole thing off my plate, and it doesn't. Creates more work.
Yep.
And sometimes you are better off just doing it yourself until naturally you can just move it off your plate. But it's tough.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's why. That's why it's your baby. That's why. That's why you do it. I mean, you got to figure that out, and it's tough.
It is. And I mean, we've had we're on our third GM at the restaurant, our first restaurant. And I think we found him. I mean, like, it's been a year and a half now, and he's a great fit.
Yeah.
So sometimes it just takes some turnover too.
Yeah. Talking to the younger generation, I guess if you could talk to your old 18-year-old, 20-year-old self, is there anything you tell him to double down on or do differently? And I guess by you talking to your younger self, is there anything you want to say to a young person today getting started that might be a visionary, might want to go out and do something for themselves? What advice? What would you say to them?
I think you got to do a lot of it. I mean, it just is. And you got to fail. Like, and I really believe that. Like, it's it's easier to fail at stuff when you're young.
Yep.
And I don't have kids, so I plan on failing forever. But I can fail forever. But I think that's true. That is experience. And so when you start stuff, it could be a lawn service. I mean, hell, I started a bandana company called Antonio Bandanas, and it was awesome. We should bring it back. But you learn so much in your failures. I mean, that we say that a lot, all of us do, but it's so true. So I think if a young self, I would just tell them, keep doing what you're doing, because I never stopped. But anybody that is in college or, visionary, it's like, you got to do it. Like, you're not going to really learn it unless you dive in. Find a mentor, go be a intern somewhere, go volunteer your time. In this whole world of create stuff that nobody's asking for, use your brain and just get creative and do it. Pump it out, see what sticks. Something's going to stick, and some stuff won't, but
yeah,
you'll learn a lot. So I think just doing it, doing a bunch.
Yeah. I feel like every successful person out there will tell you, I mean, there's so many failed ventures before the one that actually hits.
Yeah.
There's so much stuff that you got to mess up before you can hit the big one. And that's the thing about entrepreneurship. Like we were talking about, just working for yourself. I feel like once you get bit by that bug, it doesn't mean that the first business that you start is going to be knock it right out of the park, but that doesn't mean your journey ends. You know, I feel like it's a game. It's the game. You just got to keep playing the game. The game is entrepreneurship. The game isn't just a specific business, you know?
That's a great point.
Like that's the game.
Doggear.com could have been.
Yeah. I had a drop shipping store back in the high school days. You know, this is when drop shipping was really big, you know, everybody's trying to sell you a course. Well, I bought a course when I was like 17. I started a drop shipping store selling dog shit, like not literal dog shit, but like dog toys.
Dog shit might have been more.
It could have been honestly
more successful.
There's a company out there that literally will send shit to somebody's door on your behalf to just do a joke.
Could have
or
been
whatever.
a moneymaker.
That could have been good, but no, just selling dog stuff and have AliExpress ship it in 14 days or whatever. But started it, made a little bit of money, but it was just, you know, it ran its course and it was kind of stupid, but I was just trying to chase fast cash and learn e-commerce and learn online and just get my put my foot in the door. And it put me down the path though. Realized, okay, it's not about getting rich quick. These guys are a bunch of, you know, scammers or want to make money off the course, but it put me down the path of the whole overall game of learning and growing. And if I wouldn't have done that, I probably wouldn't have kept going, you know?
Yeah, totally. It's like making that it's the first swing, you know, it's like getting your feet under you and understanding it. And yeah, it's totally true.
Yeah.
It is. You just got to do it.
Yeah.
So, what led you to start Gents? Forgot about that.
The cocktail mix. Yeah. So we were a soda company first. So it was really interesting. I was in the bourbon industry and I wanted a beverage company because I love this whole bourbon thing. I thought it was going to be pretty popular.
Yep.
And, but I was like, man, I'm working with some of these giant distilleries. There's no chance I can start a distillery. That was back then. But I thought, well, it'd be really interesting if I could create something that pairs really well with it. And that's kind of the journey. And I was hiking at a place called the Bernheim Forest, and it's directly across from Jim Beam. You can smell bourbon everywhere. You know, you're hiking in the woods and all you do is smell bourbon. So you're like, I'm just going to walk to the distillery. But at the end of this hike, there was a little gift shop and they had a ginger ale in there. And it was interesting, a craft ginger ale. Not really a craft, but it was a really good ginger ale. I said, man, I can make this. And this would be great in bourbon. Like I'm going to make ginger ale. And on the side, obviously I wasn't like quitting my job, you know, but I was like, I'm going to learn how to make soda. It was really crazy, you know? And so Jessica was going on vacation for a week. And I said, when you come back, I'll have something for you to taste. And I just locked myself down, made stuff in the kitchen, come up with a bunch of recipes, did some research. And this was like craft beer was booming. Bourbon was really booming.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, what's next? Maybe non-alcoholic was the next thing. Sodas, like we have one local Kentucky soda. There's room. We can make another one. And so that's really where it started. And then talk about failure. I was selling out of this soda at every farmer's market. I'd go to farmer's market, sell it by the kegs. We'd fill growlers. We had this beautiful brand. And then I said, well, I'm going to expand. So I leased some space in a brewery, expanded, bought a 600 gallon bright tank, started making hundreds of gallons of soda. Whole Foods said they'll take it all. They loved it. We did this taste test. So I got a mobile canner to come in and can it. And there's no craft sodas getting canned at the time. This was 12 years ago, 10 years ago. And so that was a real rare thing to have a soda. So they canned it all. I put it out, we had some walk-ins. I put some cases out, gave some cases to friends. And in about 10 days, they started exploding. Cans of soda. Exploding. And first call I get's from the brewery, Tim, your cans are popping off like gunshots. I was like, what? And then the next thing, my friends are calling me, dude, your cans are exploding all over my office. I had dropped some cans off to a very big distillery to be an official pairing, a big distillery, not the ones we've mentioned today, a big one. And they called me the same day. It was happening to everybody.
Yeah.
It was like a fucking attack.
Oh, God.
It was like I synchronized a soda attack on everybody's.
Yeah, it all
personal-
fermented at the same rate.
Yeah. And so,
Oh my gosh.
yeah. So what had happened is I brought that mobile canner in and we were picking up brewer's yeast from wherever he had been. He was at a brewery and we were just picking up brewer's yeast. We had no idea. And we canned pallets of it. And the rest of it was in the walk-ins. So it was cold. It wasn't fermenting. And so those were safe. It was just the ones I'd given
They were
out. They
room
were sitting out and
temperature.
they started exploding. And so we did another run. We cleaned everything. We took anything off that bottling line that we could replace with something brand new. We sterilized everything. We went from like 70% of our cans exploding to 30%. And we thought 30% was too high to put out in the market.
Yeah.
They were just exploding everywhere. So we had to call all of our retailers and be like, bring it in. We're recalling everything. And so that was a big failure,
Oh,
but I'll tell you, there's still not sodas created like we created them, flavors. I still think the idea is really good, but what we made to make the soda is now our cocktail mixes, like our bases.
yeah.
So we were experimenting with all these flavors and I was like, you know what? Instead of a ginger and bourbon, let's just do a mule. Let's do a mule mix. Let's do high ginger and lime, sugar, and make this great
Everything
mule
you need.
mix. So we did that. And then we did juleps, and we did old fashions, and that's kind of where that came. So,
Yeah.
that's one of my failures. Exploding cans. I mean,
Wow.
they were exploding so hard that my friend still has stains on his ceiling in his office. They were lift off, man. They were exploding.
Wow.
Yeah. So sleepless nights, to say the least. I mean, I was sleeping on that brewery floor to get things fermented in time, like not fermented, to get things carbonated for the brewer, the bottler to be there
Yep.
in the morning. So I would sleep in there and I would adjust the carbonation and I was doing all this stuff. And at the end of the day, everything was just exploding.
Oh,
So it was hard, man. It was hard.
that is hard.
Yeah, man, it was hard. And I bootstrapped the whole thing. It was on the side. So it was every dollar I had. And it was a big expansion. I don't tell that story very often. I mean, just because I didn't want anybody to think that the company was shaky or anything. So
Yeah.
we just shut it down. And I took a break for like 3 months. I was
Yeah.
like, what am I going to do with this? I've still got all this equipment. So we sold the big bright tank to the brewery. They bought it. We kept our big steam kettle. We moved into our own space to hopefully control any kind of yeast in the air. But we hot fill our cocktail mix so it can kill anything. If there's any yeast or anything, in the
Could
air,
make it.
it kills it in bottling. So
Yeah.
we just shifted gears, man. It's pivoting,
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. I mean,
It's-
and I appreciate you sharing that because
Yeah.
that's the real shit.
It is.
that nobody talks about.
It's tough.
That's the real shit that nobody talks about when it
Well-
comes to building a business. Or you look at where somebody is now
Mm.
and they don't share that kind of shit. But there are moments where
Yeah.
you got to pivot. And like, I have a question on here about grit. I mean, like that's a perfect moment of grit too, because you could have been like, fuck this, piss on this. We're not going to pivot. I'm just done with this shit.
Yeah.
But you keep going.
Yeah, it was hard, man. I mean, I think about it right now and I get a little anxiety because it was like fucking cans blowing up.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
I'm like
Well-
some little kid's like, look what I got, and it fucking blow up in his hand or something. We were so fortunate that whatever protocol we had it was me and my buddy that was an art director at the agency was helping me for $10 an hour or something, We recalled it right then and just went and got every case we sold. We called Whole Foods. We're like, we're not selling soda. We're shutting it down. they were like, what? We've got a whole display we're building. And it's like, it's not safe. And they were so cool because they were kind of like, well, when you get it figured out, call us back.
Yeah.
I was like, well, we're not going to figure this shit out. You know, it's like, we'll sell you some cocktail mixes. But yeah, I mean, it was, yeah, it's tough. But I knew I had flavors that worked great with bourbon. I really believed in that. And what form it came in or what container, it didn't matter to me. I knew there was something like the cocktail boom was just happening. We would go to these shows and sell cocktail mix and nobody even knew what it was. They didn't understand how to use it. So cause we had like toasted oak ginger, honey lime. And they were like, what the fuck do I do with this? I was like, well, have you ever had a mule or an old fashioned? They're like, oh yeah, honey, we had one of them at Logan's, you know, or whatever, some steakhouse. And so we pivoted from there too. We pivoted from the flavor being the lead to the cocktail being the lead.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we went from
soda
to
what flavor
to
the cocktail.
To the cocktail. And so that was brand evolution. It was like toasted oak ginger. Great. What do you do with it? Well, you can make a mule. You can do this. You can get creative. Well, people weren't making a lot of stuff at home. Yeah. I mean, home bartending and cocktail booms were only happening in cocktail bars. And they just weren't ready for it. And so, but I just put old fashioned, julep, mule, and it made more sense to people. Mm-hmm. They're like, ooh, I like an old fashioned. How do you do it? I put the recipe on the side.
Yep.
I mean, you guys see how easy it is. When you put everything you need in the bottle, it does make it easy. And listen, I got some of the best master distillers in Kentucky that swear by it. And I'm not trying to beat my chest. I think it's really good.
Yeah. Well, obviously.
No.
I mean, you partner with some great people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're doing, go ahead.
Yeah. So you're private labeling it, but then you're also, is it in retail stores too?
Yeah. So we're a little slower on distribution, mainly because we white label. That's the biggest part of our business. Gents Original is our brand. And we do have our own mixes, but the legacy ones like Elijah Craig, we put bitters in it. We make it a little bit different. Yep. I mean, it's quite a bit different. But you can buy our mixes as well. And sometimes how we're splitting it, and it's not complete yet, but how we're splitting it is the classic cocktails will belong to the brands.
Yep.
Larceny Mule, Elijah Craig Old Fashions, things like that. And then gents will evolve back into the flavors. Okay. Like the market understands that more now.
Yep.
Like we have smoked honey grapefruit. Well, before you'd have to really educate folks on what to do with that. But like people are so creative now and understand and want something unique to make something unique that the market is beyond ready for that now. So we'll make another pivot eventually.
Nice.
So you got gents, Boondogs,
like Daniel Boone.
Yeah. And you got your creative agency.
Yep.
Is there anything else? Are you still doing TV?
Yep.
Occasionally?
Yep. Occasionally. And it's always been occasionally, like when there's a new season out or something. So they've kind of blown them off a little bit lately, not on purpose, but there's new episodes they want me on. I'm helping with this really interesting show. And then I do have a couple episodes that we filmed last fall that haven't aired. Sometimes they do that. They'll split one season into two and spread them over, a couple seasons or whatever. But yeah, still involved with that.
What else have we not taught? What else are we missing?
I think, the creative services, the restaurants. I mean, I am a partner in this group that, I mean, we just opened a racetrack. It's a
what the hell?
No, it's basically a training facility for horses.
Okay.
And it's in Versailles, Kentucky, called High Bramble. And I'm a partner. I'm a piece of that group. I'm not like number 2 on there or anything, but I'm a piece of that. And the same group owns the Aldenburg Hotel, Distillery, and Steakhouse. And so that's
Where's that located
in
at?
Versailles, Kentucky.
Okay.
Yeah, 10, 15 minutes outside of Lexington.
Okay.
The hotel's a 29-room boutique hotel, like a small distillery in the back, and a really, really amazing steakhouse. I mean, top notch, everything, cocktail bar. So super proud of that.
And then they're going to retail what they distill at the hotel.
Yes. So we actually have some to taste.
Yeah.
Eventually today.
Yeah. Nice.
But so the program that I'm building over there, so that is part of my partnership, is the distillery and the beverages and stuff like that. But I mean, we have a food and beverage manager for the restaurant, but we'll use the distillery to create a bunch of experimental stuff. And it all doesn't have to be whiskey. Like I've got a lot of ideas for spirits and different things that Kentucky isn't making and Americans aren't. I mean, I might be ahead of the game again, but we got to try to figure out shit that's coming, you know?
Yeah.
So I've got some tricks up my sleeve there for the distillery, and we source our whiskey, and we'll always be open about that because we are surrounded by the best distilleries. I mean, Woodford Reserve is in the same county. Castle and Key, Buffalo Trace, Wild Turkey, Four Roses. We're all within 10 minutes from the hotel. So it's on the Bourbon Trail, and we'll have that micro distillery to play with, and then we'll source some of the best whiskeys. Like our first release says 10 years on it. It's technically an 11-year bourbon. I think is phenomenal. We hand select every barrel. It goes through our tasting panel, which is me and a couple founders. And we just make sure we're going to put out the best single barrel proof whiskey on the planet. That we can get our hands on.
That's got to be just a blast, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
So how many barrels go into a run?
So we're going to do single barrels. So we call it the Vault series.
Okay.
And basically we are going in and picking our best barrels that we can get our hands on and just releasing them as single barrel proofs. And some of them are coming from the biggest legendary, legacy distilleries in Kentucky. There's just a lot of excess barrels. We have like 16 million barrels of bourbon aging in Kentucky right now. There's 4.5 million people. That's a lot of barrels.
Yeah.
And so there's barrels everywhere. And so if we can climb around in there and work with brokers, work with distilleries, and source some of the best ones that they just don't have room for in their portfolio, we'll just hand pick them and release them as single barrels. We're not unique in that. There's other people that do it. But I think we have a really great palette to work on this, and I'm excited about them. The first release is out. You have to go to the distillery to buy it. It's $119, basically an 11-year legacy distillery barrel whiskey. Yep. And I would put it up against anybody.
That's pretty cool.
Damn.
Well,
dude.
I'd ask you what you're excited about, but I think anybody, you got a lot to be excited about.
Well, I just want to say, not to toot your horn too much, but like this is you're the kind of person, like this is what we need more of in today's world. We need people like your life sounds fucking awesome. And I know there's trials and tribulations and there's shit that comes with everything that you're doing. And so many people don't see all that hardship, but this is the shit that makes life meaningful, makes America fucking awesome. And we need more people going and building and doing shit like that. At the end of the day is what, and the thing about what you do too, like just hearing you, like you give a shit, like you do shit not to half-ass it, like just with hot dogs. You're trying to make the best fucking hot dogs you can make. Whatever you do, you're trying to make it the best you can make it. And that's what we need more of. Whatever your passion is, whatever your business is, whatever your story is, do it, go at it as hard as you can, and try to do it the best you possibly can do it, and make it the best you can make it. And like, I just admire that about hearing your story and everything that you're doing. You're giving it all. And like, it's inspiring to me, and just thinking about Farmer Grade and thinking about what we do here. It's like, sometimes we sit here and we're like, man, we feel like we're spread too thin, but would you want it any other way? I mean, would you want it any other way?
No, I mean, I'm right there with you guys.
Yeah,
It's great. I mean, also the thing is, when you have all these things to do, if one's failing, hopefully there's something winning, you know?
Yeah. Right.
There's ups and downs. And if you can balance out the wins and losses, it's a little easier to swallow, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What do you do it all for? I mean, I just kind of gave you just my thought about what you do and why it's important, but why do you do it? Like, what's your why of doing all that you do internally?
I mean, I think it really comes down to just like freedom.
Yeah.
I mean, just freedom to do it and to have something that can pay the bills over here and not have to clock in. I think that's it. I mean, I think just keeping everything going on my terms is what keeps me going.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's like if I don't care to work hard. There's days I don't. There's days I can take off because I've built that process of like, well, I'm going to go fishing this week or for a couple of days. And I'm not a wealthy man. You know, I just have enough balance that if I do need a break, I can take a break.
Yep.
And I have enough people I can trust. But I think it's all about freedom. I think it's freedom to live my life in the time I have it. And you know, I've seen a lot of guys a generation above me, like my father or, you know, other guys that I watched work their ass off for so long. And I mean, my dad loved what he did, so he's not a great example, but I've seen other guys work jobs they hated their whole lives and then live a year after they retired.
Yep.
Living their best life for that 1 year.
Yep.
And that's scary to me.
Yep.
You know, it's like, it's not like they hated life. They were just hard workers. But when you see that happen, you're like, man, I want that now.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the first thing they would tell you.
Yeah.
It's like, do it because you never know.
Damn well better enjoy what you're spending your time at.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And there's people that, and there's a famous actor that and a story he told was his dad sacrificed a lot and was like a banker or an accountant forever and hated his job and got fired and lost everything. So it's like, you might as well just do what you want to do because you might fail at that too, or you might fail at doing what you hate. So it's like, I've just had that flexibility and mindset for a long time now. And I tell my wife all the time, tell Jessica and my mom and my sister and my nieces that I felt so lucky to realize that early because I think some people realize that kind of late in life. And I do feel lucky that I've had the work ethic, had the means to be able to do it and just do it, man. Like it's hard. It'd be hard for me to change it. Just creating all the time, being in that environment.
You're addicted.
Yeah.
Now, once you're into it, you're addicted.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I just think about, I mean, not to go super deep, but the human experience is more than just living in a suburb, driving to your office job, sitting in a cubicle, clocking out at 5, hitting a workout in, getting dinner in, putting the kids to bed and going to sleep. I mean, you got to have the mundane of life, and there's going to be seasons of life.
Sure.
But I mean, what you said about just like, if you're going to get fired working for somebody else anyway, you might as well go after what you want in life because you only got one shot at it.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, I watched it even in my day job, the generation that helped build that company that were 10 years older than me. Well, when I came in, I was the new blood, me and 3 or 4 other people. Well, eventually in 2 years, all those senior, they were all fired. They all got pushed out of the company and we all became the leaders.
Yep.
Well, I never forgot that.
Yep.
You know, I really didn't. And it was a young company now.
Yeah.
And I was at the top.
And there's only one place to go from there.
And I watched, well, all this young talent's coming in.
Yep.
And they're awesome. So it's just the business.
Yeah.
It's corporate America.
Yeah, it is. And it's eventually you get replaced. And most of your tenure is working on your replacement. Mm-hmm. And that's okay. I get it. It's a business. I get it. I have no real issues with that. I just recognized it.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, well, I'm leaving now.
Yeah.
And so I was like my grandfather. He always had his eye on that farm. Well, I never stopped building my clients. You know, I used to tell my creative team, make sure people know who you are. I didn't tell them enough, honestly, but I always made sure I wanted to make sure people knew what I was doing in case I needed to go do it.
Yeah.
And it felt weird to self-promote, and it felt weird to post stuff because I'm not that real. I'm a behind the scenes person, honestly. But I did it in a off chance that I needed that, you know, right. and I always thought I would. And so I just made sure I had a big enough reputation that you could call me, I'll get the work done, and it's going to be awesome. And we're going to be best friends. And then we're going to live this great life with this new brand. And in case I needed it, you know.
Mm-hmm. Is your wife wired the same way? Or is she think you're, or
I don't
is
think
she
she's
think
pulled
you're,
back up?
Cause I mean, yeah, like how supportive and how big a part of your life has your wife been in all of this?
She's my partner in all of it. And the biggest thing, I remember asking somebody asked me like, how does she help? And she lets me be me. I mean, that's unreal. Mm-hmm. And we've been together 25 years. We've been married 12. We got married at Buffalo Trace.
Yeah.
You know, we had barbecue and bourbon at the distillery. But she's been the greatest, man. I mean, I dream up a lot of weird shit, and she's been right there, and she trusts me, and she's my biggest critic. She's the hardest on me than anybody I've ever worked with. She'll tell me like, this is not good, or where are you coming from, or that's not great. But she's definitely my partner, and it doesn't have to be X's and O's, you know, it's just, she's my life partner.
Yeah.
And this is a wild ride, you know. Yeah. When you taste 60 barrels a day.
Yeah, I was thinking about that when you were talking
That's
about
that. That's why she's here. I mean, she needs to get me around sometimes, you know?
Yeah.
No, she's here because she wants to be here, you know?
You said she's your biggest critic, but she's also your biggest supporter.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And I need both, and she keeps me straight, but she's also like, she does not like a lot of stress, and she likes her time, and she does not like to be told what to do. And she likes to enjoy every day.
Yep.
And I think we try to together create a life that gives us the freedom to do that.
Yep.
And that is just really through creativity. Like, we get creative when we try to problem solve. If we're in a pinch, if we're broke, you know, whatever we try to solve it creatively. And I think that's the other takeaway, is just using creativity in business in general. You know, is just think about it creatively. Think outside the box. Don't do something stupid, but think about it differently. And that's how we just handle life, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. We're getting pretty damn close to our maximum recording capacity, but is there any last thoughts you want to leave with people before we go, if you have anything?
I think just hug your family. Keep them close.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Another project I'm working on at Brush Creek is Railroad Rye. And this is a second release. This is boxcar number 2. Basically putting barrels on a train, starting in Chicago and running it all the way to Wyoming. And basically it's in honor of the Transcontinental Railroad that helped build the West.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's like the railroad was such an integral part in building the West. And, and all the visionaries and all the workers and all the dreamers going out to the West, the the railroad made that a lot easier. So in honor of that, Brush Creek's created Railroad Rye.
So this is the second time they've done it.
Yep, this is boxcar number 2.
That's
and
pretty
so
cool.
they're loading barrels up on a train, shipping across America. And there's a little bit of maturation there too.
Yeah.
Being on a train, getting shook up and making that journey.
Yeah.
But it's mainly about honoring that railroad and the people who built it. And it's super Western, man. I love
badass.
it so much. It's honoring the West and the railroad that helped build it.
Yeah.
So online you can get it. I mean, there's some retail. Iowa's probably not a good place to try to find it.
Yeah, so this will be online. They're working out that deal right now. You can find, if you go to brushcreek.com, brushcreekdistillery.com,
okay,
you'll see all the things you can buy online.
Yep.
Boxcar number 1 is on there, but it's only in retailers. But boxcar number 2 and boxcar number 1 soon to come to the online shop too.
So every time they do a new boxcar, are they shipping it somewhere else, or is it always going to go to Chicago?
So what they do is they'll have their barrels in Chicago, and some of that could be sourced whiskey from this part of the country.
Yep.
And then they'll load them by rail and ship them by rail to Wyoming.
Yeah.
And it's basically making that original trek to the West.
Yep.
And it's all on purpose. There's zero reason to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just all in honor of.
Yeah.
And so when they load those barrels and when those barrels come off the train, there's a little celebration there too.
That's pretty cool.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's cool. And so we do some video work and some creative around it. The team out there at Brush Creek does a really great job with the blend and everything. So it's cool, man. It's an American story for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
That's badass.
People have to check that out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, Tim, we really appreciate you coming on the show, man. This was fucking awesome. I'm so glad we reached out to you and we made this happen, because I think it was great. If you guys loved this episode, share it out, number 1. But 2, go follow Tim and everything he's doing. Go support his brands. Make it out to Kentucky and go get yourself a hot dog. Support all the shit he's doing, because this
Can you get gents online?
You can.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, go get some gents,
Mix.
go get some bourbon, go get some hot dogs, go follow him. Because these are the kind of people that make America fucking awesome and make America great. And these are the kind of stories we love sharing on this show. And how can you not want to support a guy like that? So thank you guys for watching. Share the show. We love you. We appreciate you. And we'll see you back here next week for another episode.